Lichfield, the cathedral with 3 spires, the only one in England. The cathedral is dedicated to St Mary and St Chad. It is one of the smallest English cathedrals, but regarded by many as one of the most beautiful. The existing building was started about 1085 at the east end and completed at the west front around 1327. And just look at this west front, sculpture and decoration from top to bottom. So let's have a closer look at some of these. Actually, most of them have been replaced over the years, very few are originals. So now, let's have a look inside. The building looks in fine order today, and no doubt it costs a lot to keep in repair. We tend to assume that such buildings have always been in good repair, but most of them, including this one, have been through bad times over the centuries, some of them becoming almost abandoned ruins. Today we do our best to preserve our heritage, and even then some would say that we don't do well enough. But there have been periods in our history when our heritage suffered just through neglect. In addition, this building, like so many others, suffered especially in times of trouble. One of the worst periods, of course, was the Civil War, and it wasn't just Cromwell who stabled his horses in churches. As you might expect, there are many memorials to be seen in this church, some with nice carvings. Other memorials commemorate the life of people with local connections. A tablet remembers Anna Seward, who died in 1809 and was known as the Swan of Lichfield. Another remembers Lady Mary Wortley Montague, who you may have heard about. Others commemorated include Erasmus Darwin, grandfather of Charles, and Admiral Sir William Parker, the last survivor of Nelson's captains, besides many bishops, of course, and other prelates. Dr. Samuel Johnson of dictionary fame was born in Lichfield. He attended the old grammar school, as did Ashmole of Ashmolean Museum fame, Addison the essayist, and David Garrick the actor. Incidentally, Johnson said of the people of Lichfield, "They are the most sober, decent people in England, the genteelest in proportion to their wealth, and speak the purest English." Mind you, that was in the 18th century. In 1651, George Fox, founder of the Society of Friends, or the Quakers, walked barefoot through the city, crying, "Woe to the bloody city of Lichfield." Not much earlier, in 1612, Edward Whiteman was burned alive, not for mass murder or crimes against humanity, but for heresy. How our standards have slipped recently. He was the last person in England to be given that sentence by the church. It was only to save his soul or something, mind you. This church was in the thick of sieges several times during the Civil War. The building was damaged and the central tower collapsed completely. Much damage and despoliation was carried out maliciously inside the building, but repairs and restoration have progressed over the centuries, and we have today the building in perhaps its best condition ever, except for the lack of paint and gilding which no doubt it used to display. And back outside we can see that repairs and maintenance are still being carried out. And here's that central tower which has now been rebuilt. So we're stood now at the end of the south transept, and here is the south door. We'll see shortly a statue which I seem to remember is Charles II, but I can't remember why he's stood here. Perhaps someone can remind me. Then after the statue there's another construction I took a picture of. Can you tell me what this is? I think we've just enough time left for another look at the west front, but remember this video is only a brief introduction. There's so much more to see and so many things I haven't been able to mention. Now, if you've seen my St. Paul's video, you'll remember that for several reasons I recommended visiting Canterbury instead. I can now also recommend Lichfield. You'll get a friendly welcome and a much more fulfilling experience from both a spiritual and an historical viewpoint.